Hello there and welcome to my first full video of 2024. If I've done this right, this has been dropped into the fashion section, and what I'm going to do is cover my love for all things vintage. In particular, in this video I'm going to discuss and show you bits, there I hope, of my vintage lingerie collection. I have two particular types of vintage lingerie that I like. I like what you would traditionally call vintage lingerie. I have pieces dating back to the mid-80s and early 90s, and they're in the traditional style, probably based on 1950s, maybe slightly earlier, late 1940s style. And then what I call retro reimagination of vintage lingerie. That's items which have been made in, say, the last couple of years, but clearly design influenced by vintage lingerie. So the first thing is, you're not going to see me in them. This is basically just showing you what I've got. I've taken some still photographs of the items that I've got, and I'm hopefully going to mix it in with some footage from some of the purveyors I buy from. Where does this come from? Well, you know, I'm not this side of 50 even, and I grew up in the 70s and 80s, probably before spandex, lycra, etc. existed. So when as a young person I was thumbing through my mother's catalogues, essentially what I started to admire was the stuff that was in there, and it wasn't exactly fashionable. I got the bug. I've always been interested in 1950s and 1960s culture, particularly American, so it all sort of fell together that way. So most of what you're seeing now is stuff I've probably collected over 3 to 4 years. I've collected them from various specific vintage websites, eBay, SD, Vintage, that sort of places where people are selling them. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's vintage lingerie. Has it been worn already? The vast majority hasn't. The vast majority has been kept in storage. Some of it is, of course, what you would say reproduction, but very much in the original style and the original structure. They are rather unforgiving. They keep everything tight and everything in the right place, which is again another reason why I wear it. I want to get that classic silhouette. And whilst I do like modern lingerie and I do wear that on a day-to-day basis, if I'm going on a special night out and I'm wearing perhaps an evening dress, then I will wear this sort of lingerie underneath just to make sure that there's no bumps and there's nothing sticking out in the wrong place. It is rather traditional. You will see there is a lot of underwiring in a lot of items I've got. There is actually bones down the side to keep me in place. Zips, great. And anything that goes with suspenders, the suspender belt or the suspender straps are very robust and usually made out of metal and rubber, whereas in modern parlance you would probably be looking at very much smaller, probably about, well, I don't know, a third of the size. But again, there's a good reason behind that. If I'm wearing stockings under a very nice dress, it keeps everything in place. In terms of brands, I will do a page at the end of this video with all details of who I buy from, but generally speaking the vintage stuff is the likes of Gossard, the likes of Burley. Regularly it used to be Marks and Spencer's, but they don't really make anything anymore, so again you're going back to the St. Michael brand of the 1970s and 1980s, and there are a few purveyors on the internet, a company called Marlon, M-A-R-L-O-N, which do some very nice repo slips and items like that. Again, it's a niche market, but there is still so much out there, be it original vintage or designs nowadays based on vintage but still with the traditional techniques of making these items. So what we're going to be looking at now is what I would call reproduction. A lot of these items that I've bought in recent years are vintage styled or vintage influenced. Some indeed you might even consider very vintage, but the materials are perhaps more modern and they've perhaps got elements of nylon in them, elements of spandex in them, or even, you know, anything stretchy so it will accommodate the more modern figure. The first up is a brand I have recently found called Pip and Pantaleon. Hope I pronounced that right. At the end of this video, I'll do a screen which will have all the links in, and they'll all be in the description. This is handmade, made in the Midlands, I believe, generally made to order, and therefore it isn't cheap. I only treat myself to this probably at Christmas and for my birthday. This is a set I bought for my birthday last year, which was handmade. The cups have got padding in, which again was my individual request and cost a little bit more as a result. It's what you would call retro inspired. It's very, very comfortable. The straps for the suspender belt are incredibly complex and do take some time to put on, but once on, the thing never budges. Next up is a company called Revival Lingerie. Again, Midlands company, seems to be a little bit of theme there. And what they do here is make what I would say is retro inspired. Again, I have bought from them two corselettes, the gold one and the black and white polka dot. The gold one is perhaps a little bit more heavy in terms of keeping you in place and keeping your shape, whereas the polka dot one is a lot more lighter. There is no underwiring, it is soft cup, but again the material that they're made of is very, very firm, and again the suspender elements to it mean you pretty much don't get any slippage on your stockings as well. I do particularly like the gold one because it's perhaps a little bit more firmer than the black and white one, but again in the summer it's very nice to wear the black and white one underneath a really fitting dress. And last but not least, this is a company I have been looking to invest in for a while, and I mean invest because these items are far from cheap. This is a company called What Katie Did. This is very much 50s inspired or even 50s designed lingerie. We are talking bullet bras, we are talking Jean-Paul Gaultier, Madonna inspired perhaps, but they were inspired by the 1950s and what was called the sweater girl look. I very much wanted to try one of these. I got this for myself a couple of weeks ago, just after Christmas, in their January sale. Again, it's not exactly this time made to measure, but it's very much off the shelf and ordered as and when. These are actually made abroad, but are based in London. I understand, I think they have a shop in Beverly Hills as well. It isn't cheap. It is something I've always wanted to get and always wanted to wear. The underwear is incredibly comfortable. I have not yet tried the bullet bra on under any clothing. I've obviously tried it on when I got it. It is very unforgiving. There is no stretch as you would find in a normal bra. There's a little bit of stretch in the centre, a little bit of stretch on the back, but apart from that, it is pretty much as they say in terms of sizing. So if you're going to buy any items from this manufacturer, please make sure you actually make sure the measurements on the items are the measurements that fit your body, not necessarily what you currently wear, but your actual body. So that's a little walk through my vintage lingerie collection. I hope you like it. If you've got any questions, please put in the comments below the video and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Hopefully at the end of this video there will be a short screen detailing where you can get these items from and where I got them from. I'm always on the trawl around eBay and places like that for vintage items. Some of them can be very, very expensive. True 1940s vintage are very much in the free figures and have been really taken care of and really is a collector's item rather than something to be worn. But I'm very much in favour of wearing these items. Day to day I wear modern lingerie, Marks and Spencer's, John Lewis, etc. But on a special occasion it's nice to get dressed up underneath as well as on top. As always, thanks for tuning, thanks for watching, please press subscribe, please spread the word, and hope to see you soon.